Do you feel like your to-do list is beautifully under control, really straightforward, and like you absolutely nail it every single day and every single week? Or do you feel like it's this mammoth task that somehow you can just never quite get to the bottom of? I know from all of my clients that learning to prioritise and actually get through that list consistently is constantly one of the biggest challenges in business. So this week I want to share with you 7 of my top tips for how you can get really focused on prioritising and organising your work so that you feel like you are managing the to-do list instead of it just running riot all on its own. So my very first tip is make sure that you are planning your week. And I don't just mean allocating a load of tasks to every day and filling up your diary as much as humanly possible. And I don't mean squeezing in all the stuff that you want to do around those commitments that you already have for customers. I mean things like setting really clear objectives, targets and milestones for the week. So understanding the 2 or 3 most important activities that you need to achieve that week, having financial targets for the week, having marketing targets for the week, maybe even having learning targets and different things like that, but being really focused and strategic about exactly what you want to achieve every week and making that a real rigid routine every single week. Number 2 is to then plan your actions across the week. Rather than having the most almighty to-do list, which you hope that one day you might get through, allocate those actions to each day. Have clear, specific times in your diary. So times for marketing, times for content creation, times to follow up on networking events, time to do the stuff that you never get around to do. You might even have a time slot that says catching up on all the loose ends, because loose ends are one of those things that can drive you nuts. But basically block out time across the week and allocate your tasks in a balanced approach across the week. Step number 3 is then to follow that up with daily planning. Now, your perfect scenario is that you work to a daily to-do list which is achievable on a day-to-day basis, which is actually realistic, and it contains the amount of work that is humanly possible in a day instead of containing about 35 days worth of work so that you constantly feel like you are failing. If you can get to the point where you work with a daily to-do list which is realistic and which you can get to the end of every day, you will find that you suddenly start to feel incredibly different about your ability to prioritise, to achieve and to manage yourself and your time. So work to a daily to-do list and keep it short and realistic. Number 4, why did I do to-do? Number 4 is treat yourself as a client. You are realistically your most important client. So whenever a client is in your diary, if you have a meeting booked with a client or you have a deadline for a client, you are going to stick to that deadline if at all possible. And you will not cancel that meeting unless there's a hugely important reason for it. But when you put things into your diary that are all about working on your business, it's so easy to justify a million reasons why you should put that off till tomorrow or next week or next month or next year and never get around to those things. So treat yourself like a client. Put those things into your diary just as you would a client meeting and recognise that these things are absolutely non-negotiable. Your business is a client and it is your most important one. Tip number 5 is think about the tasks that create momentum. So when you're thinking about working on your business, not just in your business, when you're working on those development things and not just on fulfillment for clients, think about the things that will create momentum. What's the one thing you could do this week that would make your life easier next week? Or what is the thing that makes those other 4 tasks much easier to do or much faster to do, or just makes them more streamlined or more systemized? Usually, if you look at a list of all the things you want to do on your business, there's a couple in there that are quite pivotal. They may not seem the most important, they might not seem the most urgent or the biggest priorities, but actually they're going to create leverage and momentum and efficiency for you. So if you can find those key tasks to work on up front, everything else will get much easier, and then you will find it much quicker to then make progress through the rest of that list. Tip number 6 is to constantly look for efficiencies as you go. The number of conversations I have with people who don't have time to create systems, but because they don't have time to create systems, they are still chasing their tail in exactly the way they were a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. So just finding those few minutes regularly to build systems and efficiencies and templates and things that you can duplicate rather than constantly reinventing the wheel will make your whole working week, month and year feel far more streamlined and help you feel constantly much more in control. And tip number 7 is to stop over delivering. This is one of the biggest flaws that I often see, is that you are so passionate about your business and so determined to give a brilliant service that actually you massively over deliver. Your standards are here and your customer standards are actually here. You're delivering way more than you need to. You're taking far more time than you need to, far more time than you're being paid for. And that is actually stripping away the time that you should be spending focusing on your own business and your growth plans. So hopefully there's something in there that's given you a really good idea for exactly how you can reorganize your day or your week or your working patterns so that you could be far more efficient, you can get more done, but also feel far less stressed at the same time. If this is the type of thing you know you need more help with, then my mastermind group can help with this on a weekly basis, or my one-to-one coaching can help you with this on an ongoing basis. So drop me a message and let's have a chinwag.